Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to do a top 10 list. I'm sort of enjoying doing these top 10 lists. This is my second one on here, and I really want to do a top 10 list on Stonemaier Games. I really do love all the Stonemaier games that come out. I really feel that each Stonemaier game that comes out has a lot of love in them. They have great component quality. You could tell from just everything in the game, presentation, mechanics, all of it, that it was really a passion project for them. Even down to the rule books, which has this really nice linen finish to it that I really appreciate. Just everything about Stonemaier games are amazing, and I would recommend every single one of them to at least play and try out, because they're all great in their own way. It's just whether that theme and mechanics works for you. So this is going to be my top 10 list of Stonemaier games. Now let's go ahead and start with my number 10. Now, I love roll and rides, and this one's a very unique roll and ride, and my number 10 is Rolling Realms. I believe you get 11 realms with this, and all the realms are based off of previous Stonemaier games. And in this, what you're going to be doing is it's going to go over 3 rounds, and everyone's going to have 3 random realms each round. Now, these random realms will be the same for every player. You just randomly pick one of the, or 3 of the 11, and then everyone else has the same. And you're going to be rolling a die, and everyone's going to have the same number to place on one of these realms. You're going to be going through and trying to gain coins and all sorts of different things to get points and be the most efficient at each of these realms. At the end of the next round, you set those 3 realms aside, so they're not going to be picked again, and you'll get 3 new realms. You're going to continue on until the end of the 3rd round. Rolling Realms is great. They have 2 booster packs out for it, and I hope they keep bringing out more booster packs for Rolling Realms, especially with some of the new Stonemaier games coming out. I would really appreciate having more variety in the game. Not that there isn't enough, but it's just a lot of fun to have these new boards come out, and gives a lot more replayability to the game that already has a good bit of replayability. So that was my number 10, Rolling Realms. My number 9 is Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. So it took a game by Stonemaier Games, which is Between Two Castles, and it took a game, Mad King Ludwig, and it smashed it together. So in this game, Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig, other than having a very long title, what you're going to be doing is you are going to be building up your castle with different rooms and trying to score the most points with your castle build. However, you do need to pay attention to your players on your left and your right, because a lot of the different scoring things are going to be based on some of the stuff that your players do on your right and your left. It is a drafting style game, and I really like the player interaction that you get with watching both your players to either side as you go through. And a lot of stuff here is done simultaneously, so this game works with large player counts. Maybe not as much as Between Two Cities, but very similar. So I really like how fast this game plays. I really like how it handles larger player counts very well. So that's Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. My number 8 is based off of a book series that I haven't read yet, but we did an interview with Jamie Stegmaier, and I'm really excited to read this, but darn that Brandon Sanderson and keep coming out with books. So when I get through that, I'm definitely going to read this book series. And this game is called Red Rising. Now, Red Rising is a very interesting hand management style game. You're going to be basically taking your hand, and that's your points. So you are going to be going throughout this game and developing your hand to gain the most points possible. Now, this is like another game that I like where the score is hidden throughout the game, like Concordia. I really like that. I didn't have to worry about watching a score track on here. Red Rising is the same thing. You don't need to worry about a score track. All you need to worry about, basically, you could pay attention to maybe what some people are getting from the tops of all the different decks on there, how they're doing with their starship, and moving that around. And you could see there is a track there, a couple you can watch. But in general, what you really are doing is you're trying to make the best hand and get the most points from synergies in your hand. So as a hand management game, this is definitely my favorite. If you do like hand management games, I would highly, highly recommend checking this game out, and that is Red Rising. My number 7 is a really great implementation of another Stonemaier game, and that is My Little Scythe. My Little Scythe is an amazing kids game that I play with mainly adults. But when my younger kids get a little bit older, not quite there yet, I'm definitely going to enjoy playing the game with them. You get these really cool different different factions on there that you can play with really cool miniatures, and you're going to go out through the game. And I believe this game was like originally themed by a fan by like My Little Pony, and they couldn't get the license, so they ended up with this. And when you get into fights, they're pie wars, so you're going to spend pie doing it, and you can get bonuses from helping each other at different points. It's really, really, really cool game. You're trying to just basically deliver apples to the center, which is like the factory inside. So, really great game. Love playing it. Probably going to get it to the table a lot more often as my younger children get older. So, that is My Little Scythe. So, my number 6 is Euphoria. Euphoria is a dystopian style universe game. In this game, you have realized you're living in a dystopia, but you haven't ran away. What you want to do is capitalize on the fact that you can basically extort the workers in this game. You're trying to move along all these different faction tracks throughout the game to get the most points, and you're rolling dice and placing them throughout the board as a worker placement style game. Now, when you roll these dice, you're trying to manage not reaching a certain intelligence level, so you don't have any workers run off. So you're basically trying to keep your workers dumb so they don't realize they're living in a dystopia. So there's a lot of different like little management things you can do on this. And this is one of the games that I love that doesn't really have rounds. You just keep on going and going and going. And there's no like resetting the board or worrying about resetting the board, which I really do appreciate. The game plays pretty quickly, and there's a lot of meaningful decisions that you can do in this game, and I really love the expansion for the game too, adding even more stuff. So if you're looking for like a dice style worker placement game, I would highly recommend Euphoria. That is my number 6. So my number 5, which may vault up higher on my list because this game is an older game, but I just recently started playing it, and that is going to be my number 5 is going to be Viticulture. Viticulture is an amazing, amazing worker placement game. I need to get more plays in it, and it may move up my list, but in Viticulture, what you're trying to do is you're basically trying to do order fulfillment in the game. You can win getting other points in there, but it's a race to the first person with, I believe, 20 points. Once that hits, the game ends, and the person with the most points wins. So you're racing to get those points. The bulk of your points are going to come from order fulfillment normally, but you can get points from getting like wine tours, like if you build up your tasting table and all sorts of different summer and fall cards you can play to get points. So you can inch yourself up there, but in general what you're trying to do is you're going to plant vines in your fields, you're going to harvest those grapes, you're going to then take those crushed grapes and you're going to turn them into wine, and then you're going to take those wines and try to age them to be able to fulfill these orders and get points that way. You also will go up what's called a residual track, so the more orders you fulfill, the more money you'll get each round. So the game does have a really nice ramping up throughout it, and it has a lot of meaningful decisions that you can make throughout the game. I also appreciate, this was the first game, well, not the first game, but this is one of the first games that have a clear-cut, easy way to basically ignore areas being blocked off. So another person takes all the spots in the area, you can use a grande worker, which you have one of them, and it can go there regardless of the area being blocked off. So I really do appreciate that. It gives you a nice little strategy of when to use that grande worker. Like, what is the most important thing to you this round? I don't necessarily have to go first, which is great because there's this whole track here where you can get different bonuses based on what like order you want to be in. And having that flexibility of being, this is the most important thing to me, but I don't need to be the first there, so I may just hold my grande worker to be able to do that. So I really do like that. It's a very amazing sort of like addition to the game, and it's probably going to keep moving up my list as time goes by, and that is Viticulture. So my number 4, probably Viticulture, I'll never beat, so I'll probably keep moving up with Viticulture because I just love pirate-themed games, and I used to play its earlier implementation of this game before Stonemaier redid it, and that is Libertalia. Libertalia is a wonderful high player count, piratey style game. In Libertalia, you're going to be trying to get the different booties that are available each round to get the most points by the end of the game, or coins. And to do this, you're basically going to have a hand of cards that's the same as everyone else. Now, at the beginning of the game, or beginning of the round, you're going to flip over cards, and everyone's going to get the same number of cards. And you're going to place these cards out, and these cards are going to determine the order for picking the different booty tiles. And there's some curse tiles that do bad things. There's assassination, like the little swords that'll kill other people's crew members. And each of these crew members do cool things, so they can do stuff before you pick the tiles, after you pick the tiles, or between rounds. So there's a lot of different things to think about. And each time you go through, you're going to have a new set of cards that are going to come out, and everyone will get the same numbers, but you'll have some left over from the previous rounds. So as time goes by, people will have different cards in their hand, but they have the same pool of cards throughout the entire game. So what that means is like they'll expend these cards, but you'll know basically what every opponent can do and probably has. So I really like that of the game. There's a lot of strategy in the game. Like I said, this does handle a pretty high player count pretty well, and I like it a lot for that, because it's just a fun game with high player counts, because just a lot of excitement when you flip those cards over, and what did you do, how did this interact, oh, you played that card. Really great game, and that is Libertalia. My number 3 is a very zen game for me, and I really love the design for it, and it's a very light engine building game, and that is Wingspan. In Wingspan, you're going to have 3 different habitats, and you're going to be collecting birds into these different habitats. As time goes by, you'll have different abilities that a lot of these birds will have that will trigger off when you try to use those habitats, and each of these habitats have something that you get to do, and it becomes better and better throughout the game. Like the first one, you'll be able to get more resources the more birds you place down on it. Plus, if you could synergize with some of the birds you place on there, you can get all sorts of different bonuses and points through that. The second one, you'll get eggs, and you can lay eggs on your different birds, and these eggs also are required for placing birds in some of the farther sections of your board. And your third one is for drawing cards. A lot of different strategies and things to think about throughout this game. So many different types of birds. You have these bonus cards that you can go over, and each round has a bonus that you're going to look at too, to try to get the most points at the end of the game. Really great game, really easy to teach, really easy to get new people into playing board games with this. So I almost think this is like a gateway board game also. Just really great, really well-designed game, and I've loved all the expansions out there, not only just because they put more boards in the deck, but some of them fix things I didn't even know were a problem, like making it easier to reset the bird feeder and all sorts of fun stuff. Really great game. Highly recommend Wingspan. And that was my number 3. My number 2 is a little controversial, but I don't care. I really like it. And the only reason it's controversial is because it was marketed as a Civilization style game. I think it actually is. It does give me the feel of the idea of a Civilization game. Now, is it? It's very abstract, but it's good enough for me. I love it. And that is Tapestry. In Tapestry, basically, you're going to have different tracks that you're going to be trying to move along. And each of these tracks are going to help unlock things on your personal board, cover your capital city to gain points for having rows and columns completed. You have a lot of things to think about in this game, because you have an area control thing in the middle, sort of like you're expanding out in the world there. You can discover, you place new tiles out, you can discover new resources, all sorts of fun stuff that you can do with that. Each of the tracks there have a theme to them, like the science, the war track, and such. And you move along these, and you can go explore space. You can basically develop your board by removing these huts and stuff and placing them on your capital. And the capitals are really cool, like polynomial style puzzle there, where you're trying to cover as much as you can. So you get your bonus for covering a square, but you're also looking at doing your columns and rows, so you get bonuses at the end, bonus points at the end of every round. This game is also a pretty high scoring game on there, so like games will end with 150 to 200 points or more. So there, it feels nice to get like loads of points towards the end of the game. And it's pretty easy to teach because it's a pretty mechanical game. So I don't have much, probably take about 15-20 minutes to teach the game to people that haven't played it. And then it's pretty straightforward on going throughout the game, especially when the iconography is pretty easy to pick up. So especially once you get that going, the game just sort of flows. And that is Tapestry, my number 2. Now, my number 1 game is actually the first game that I've actually completely painted all the miniatures for. And other than, the only thing I haven't gotten so far is the coin upgrade for this. So I've completely upgraded this game too. I have every expansion. I've played it like 1 billion times. Obviously not 1 billion times, but I've played it a lot. And that is Scythe. Scythe is not a mech combat game, like it looks like on its cover. But it is an amazing sort of like area control game. It's pretty hard to explain on, but I really like how mechanical the game is and how many choices that you have. You have to balance between upgrading your board, which you'll have asymmetric faction board, and you'll have your normal, which is going to be different layout for each player, and it's random on it. Board where you're going to be trying to upgrade each of your actions on the top and the bottom throughout the game. You're going to be placing these mechs out to do like an area control stuff to gain lots of points at the end of the game. For the more areas you control, you get these points, but you're also trying to balance what your score is going to be at the end of the game. So you have your popularity track that you need to keep up, so that you score more per region, you score more for all these different things, your money and stuff. A lot of different things to think about. I really love the combat on there, where you use a combat card and use a dial to spend your power on there. Combat isn't actually all that frequent in the game, but it does occur because that's ways of getting stars. The game itself will end once 7 stars are met. I'm a little tired today, but I'm pretty sure it's 7 stars. Once that's met, the game will end. Pretty straightforward. Even though you ended the game, you not guaranteed to win the game, so you have to keep that in mind. So a lot of different things to think about, a lot of different strategies that you can employ through this game, and really cool theme and mechanics and components in this game. So that is my number 1 Stonemaier game, and that is Scythe. I will also add a caveat that the Wind Gambit expansion also changes the end game too. So if you're not really excited about the game immediately ending when someone hits their star limit, you can use that expansion to change what the end game condition is. So just to keep that in mind. But yes, so that is my top 10 Stonemaier games. Like I said, all the Stonemaier games are worth a play, and there are a diverse collection of games available in the Stonemaier game line. I love what they put out, and I continually watch every game that Stonemaier comes out with, and I will always give them a play. So that's my top 10 list for Stonemaier games. Thank you for watching.